15 minutes, huh? Not a second after 15 minutes.
I'll talk about that later in the later part of the presentation. So, I go to citing Nikita because my writing is very bad, so I can. I'm going to start with, and the presentation is just about what, why, how. The what is it that I'm dealing with and in response to the question of that you put across the 5 questions that he mentioned to us. The question is, what is it about, how is it about becoming a ho possible? What is it to become a ho? And how does one become a ho? It starts from the idea that, which I'm going to be talking about, that whole idea of that in a lot of ways, there are a lot of studies on ho tribe as a community. And it directly borrows from the larger discourse of Adivasi studies. And out of that, I've read through, I've gone through that literature which talks about, for example, there is this text called Arpit movement, the text called Journal of Adivasi Studies, then there is discourses of ethnicity, which talks about what is it, how does the ethnicity discourse of being in Adivasi shaped up across the country. Specificity of Jharkhand is also there, available in the literature. And then we move on to the idea of a lot of studies that focus on what is it about, what is a whole environment, what is the being of whole. And in that sense also there are a lot of anthropological studies that have discussed the whole idea of what is this whole community all about. But in that sense it is also a representative study. The study that talks about a very cognitive understanding in that sense of what is it about, how does whole community function in that sense, or what is the identity of a whole that we talk about, or the community itself. And for me the project then shifts to turning this table around, turning this table from this to this, that can there be an understanding where the understanding of becoming a whole informs the larger discourse of Adivasi. And this is a lot of this is in response to Imran's question also, that during the action research classes, that how does this inform this? That is the project all about. Because obviously this is there, but what is it about? What is so different about action research as a project there? Which Arun was asked, which Arun also asked last time around, that why do we do this? What we are doing? And I borrow from Anup the whole idea of turning the table, where the becoming of the whole decides what is it about being an Adivasi. The becoming of the whole decides about the being of the Adivasi, being of the whole also, in that sense. One question is then how is it different and why is it different? How is it different from an anthropological study that has talked about the whole community a lot of times, that has talked about the Adivasi a lot of times. I move to the idea from representation to self-creation. Representative studies exist. The self-creation part, which I'm going to be dealing with in my how, that can there be a shift in the politics of representation in that sense? Can there be an imagination where the community that one is talking about decide what can be talked about? Can they decide what it is to be a whole in that sense? And in that sense, I also borrow from an understanding from Heidegger, where he talks about not just the being part, which we have a lot of times discussed about, that being is very important, but the shift in resistance for being is also about becoming of it. That it is not about, which is in response to Ishra's discussion on archiving and Imran's point on preservation. That in this whole thing, the idea is not to preserve or that it's not a project of preservation in that sense. Because preservation would also mean that I'm saying that I want to preserve the past. But it's not about that. And here I borrow from what Anjan and Anup has talked about in their Huzalakan paper correspondence, that there is no point in preserving past until and unless there can be no future. What can I do by archiving or preserving the past? Which Ishra rightly mentioned during the justice class also, that what we do with archiving. What is it to the project is not to make a museum of Buddha in that sense. The project is about that can there be a possibility of an imagination where they borrow their nostalgia, their loss, their remembrance into something where they can imagine what it can be in the future. And obviously, in the whole process, which I've previously also talked about, in a lot of ways I borrow from Jonathan Lear's work on radical hope, and there's one line there which, for me, this whole work in a lot of ways is based on that, where he says that the project is not about finding a truth or of an event, or this happened or that happened. It's simply about that till the time we don't acknowledge the loss, we can't hope for the better future, or even the future in itself. Because what is lost, if that can't be imagined, what is to come can also not be imagined. So the project is about that. And I was reading this study during my immersion, and I think most work is based on that. This one text. How do I do this? I do this through a film. One part of this is that obviously a question that Imran also threw, a question that has been in a lot of ways also has come from Ishita, that some days back I actually came across that there is a proper field of visual anthropology that talks about, there are a lot of documentaries on by doing a participant observation by a lot of anthropologists in terms of what it is to stay in a community and then documenting it into a visual medium. Then if I do that, can it be different from any anthropological work, or can we, in that sense, where am I marking the difference between an anthropological work and an action research work? I think my response to that is that I see that film as a creativity, a self-creation in that sense, where the project is not even about the film, which has come across when discussing this alone, is that the project is not about the film, the project is about the filmmaker. The project is about what does Gurram do with that camera. And then for a long time I was very skeptical in terms of in this so-called ethical dilemma that who holds the camera, if I'm going to make the film, if they are going to make the film, where am I in this, am I going to edit the film, what is going to happen with that film in itself. I think I'm much more sure, and a lot of this is also comes from discussion with Gautam regarding what is my certainty in this, what is in that sense my political in this, why am I doing this. I'm certain about this because I'm sure I'm going to be there in the editing process. I'm sure I'm going to be the most available one who's going to be editing the film, and I think that's okay. That's fine. I think that's okay because one, that it's important for me to shift which I talk about in the paper, that shift the baton of creativity which is also a narcissistic pleasure, that you shoot the film. I am going to shoot the film. The moment Gurram holds the camera, I think that in itself is a symbolic act, and that event is very important for me. And that film that we saw was made by Gurram. He had the camera, he had the movie. He shot what he wanted. And in that sense, I think that's why it's important to shift that baton of creativity to somebody who decides what he wants to do with that. Gurram at the age of 17, being married for 2 years, having a daughter, plays an important role in terms of how he wants to imagine his future. It doesn't dismiss me from that I'm not going to be there. Obviously, I'm going to be there. This project is going to be mine also. There's going to be a political of my project very much there, but then it can't be. It just can't be about me. It just can't be, because the project in itself calls for Gurram to be there. It's Gurram's project that I'm borrowing from, and in that sense, there is a strong interdependency there. Then it's about the filmmaker. It's also about the unpredictability of it, because I don't know what is going to happen. How does the film shape out? What does Gurram decide what he wants to do with the film? And it's also about reception. Which Imran mentioned, that what am I going to do with this film? What happens after the film? And I think it's important to make that film happen, but also a translation of that film. Which Gurram mentioned that किस language में करोगे आप? Because जो तेलुगु आके देखेंगे वो तो हमारी language समझते नहीं है. तो आप फिर करोगे तो इंग्लिश में या फिर जिस भाषा में दूसरों को समझाओगे, मतलब वो भाषा में करके क्या पॉइंट? Uh, and in that sense, just looking at that film after that film being made is also very important. A discussion around that is also very important. And that sense, reception becomes very important. In this sense, obviously, this aspect of the action part, I'm borrowing a lot from Deluge. I'm borrowing a lot from, which I've talked about. Deluge, I've started reading, but I haven't read properly. One thing that I borrowed directly from is Bergson's idea of matter and memory, which I've gone through, and which is a very important part of the literature that I'm reading around match. Where does it all fit in? What am I doing with this? What am I going to say with this? I think the question is of becoming then. The question is of becoming because a lot of times, and during this semester and before also, we talked about the being aspect. I have been very convinced also that the question is about the being. But I think that it takes a shift there where it goes into the idea of becoming. Becoming because there is no guarantee to becoming. There is no surety to becoming. The contingency lies in the becoming.
5 minutes.
The question is about then, can there be a contingency of being in the Adivasi discourse? Can the whole discourse shape up the Adivasi discourse? Can it say that, and I'm not saying that dismiss Adivasi discourse, I'm not even saying that it's not even important. Obviously, discursive necessity has been a very important text to read. Journal of Adivasi Studies, I've banged them on a lot of times. So I'm not saying that Adivasi discourse is not important. But I'm saying that can there be a scenario where core discourse, a self-discourse, shapes up the larger discourse, which I think is very important in terms of a need to shift the justice from how the scholarship has evolved around the studies of ethnic communities, of Adivasis, of tribals, of indigenous communities. And this is part of the discussion that we had in Collective Action Groups around implementation. Why am I doing this? Because I have serious problems with politics of implementation. I myself am very uncomfortable with somebody. I think it's the most violent form of activity, politics that is possible. So the idea is to shift from politics of representation to politics of creation. And in that sense, politics of practice also. And that is the politics. There is no denying that. It's not an apolitical project, it is not even an a-developmental project. There is very much, I am involved in this, and I am very sure of this now. Now I am sure of this, what I am doing. And the larger point which I am making, borrowing from Anup's idea of creative critical joy, but also from one of my PhD friends in AUD, Vishek, that in its development in itself can also be looked at as creativity. Development is creativity. Obviously, there is a lot of surety to development, and therefore the project, I think all of us are dealing with the contingency of it, but that contingency also, for me, lies in the creation of it. That movement of happening becomes very important. Because for me, that moment of happening is the moment of reckoning also. For that, one text that I haven't talked about, which I haven't read also, but I'm going to deal with, is Atma Banerjee's Politics of Time. Which revolves around that how is Adivasi time shaped up, and what is the history of it? How do we imagine a world from outside? And I think the constant dilemma has been to, in all these three, what, why, how, is almost like a vis-a-vis between a certain kind of anthropological work, which obviously loosely can be, this work can also be loosely looked into from that angle, but there is then it becomes very important to distinguish action research work from that angle. Because otherwise it can easily lapse into that. A response to what Arpit was also mentioning, that why are we doing action research? What is it so, are we doing it because it's part of the program, or is there something about action research that is important to the project itself? So it's important.
So see that you give the action research.
Because it can't be in the action itself, the project itself can't be anything other than action research, because it can't be a representation. It can't be an activity where obviously one can also, the counter argument that can come, and which I've also thought of, that I'm going to write the thesis. Isn't that a representation? Obviously that's a representation. But representation of what? Representation of, I think a lot of this action research, what it takes out of this equation is my gaze. That gaze needs to come out. That gaze has been there in the past 2 courses, obviously. The way, even though I can talk about from a very philosophical angle that this has been there, that has been there, it's not empirical, it's not that, but that gaze has been there. Can this work about, can it be outside my gaze? Can it be outside my gaze? Let it be a gaze of Buddha, and I'm happy with that. It's okay for Buddha to have that. And then can I gaze the gaze in that sense Buddha's gaze? And I'm going to be analyzing it, obviously. For a very pragmatic reason also, but for my own sense of, I can call it also a sense of narcissism because of the project that we're doing. And I think in that sense that narcissism can't be taken out of the equation. Because if that analysis is not done, then I can't say anything. What am I doing with this? That saying is also become
one minute to share with your friends who don't know about this. They are here for the first time.
So the host family that I'm staying with this guy called Prana. He's a 17-year-old guy. Dad, father expired 2 years back. He has a daughter, 1-year-old daughter, and he's married with last month. Now, I started my version of a note that I'm not going to go beyond my family. I'm going to stick with it. For my own personal politics, that I thought that it can't be about the group. It has to be about, one has to look at the idea of the individual, one has to look at what Buddha has to say about the world around him. In the second immersion, a lot of things happened which I've mentioned in the table also, in the proposal also, that led me to an understanding and a very critique of my own self that it can't be just about Buddha has been the most important aspect of this whole work, because in that sense I can't even imagine all of this without him. And there is a strong dependency. At one point he actually, Bhavya, I know a lot of people came and visited him, he actually told Bhavya this that Arpit, आप लोग करते क्या हो? And she had a chat with her again. He said that, पर ये तो बैठे रहते हैं, मेरे साथ ही रहते हैं, ये तो बाहर जाते ही नहीं, बात नहीं करते. Which, in a lot of ways, I realized that second version is that my whole dependency on Buddha can also be a violence to Buddha. That he thinks that my existence there, where he takes me for a stroll in the village to say that मेरा बड़ा भाई आया times, that he's there, translates into me depending on him and saying that आप जहाँ जाओगे मैं वहीं जाऊँगा. And this is the project that is shifted from that. It's a project where I want to locate the idea of common through Buddha, but in the context and space that I have placed in. Can there be a common in the story? Can there be a common? Can we come together in a story? That's the idea.
Time up.
Can I take my first question and leave? Sorry. I think Arpit, I don't think so it's a narcissistic exercise, first and foremost. And this is not to defend your project, but also to locate the idea of the visual in visual anthropology, because initially there was a representation of the visual in the anthropology can never addresses and however much in research. Because as anthropologists we shy away from taking a position vis-a-vis what to do with the sweet makers in my field. Whereas action research, as an action researcher, you do not have to wear another hat. And I think this is where the visual becomes an actioning of the research question.
You have defined action. No, I have my 5 minutes now.
Sorry, I should leave that side.
अरे बाबा, ऐसा नहीं. I'm stopping Arun. See, I have requested every supervisor to respond to the presentation and help us make sense of it, because see, in 15 minutes you can't say it all and you always feel I couldn't fully do it. And much of the discussion is going on between the possible supervisor and the possible student. It's not clinched yet. It because the student has to be good enough for the supervisor to be interested, and the supervisor has to be good enough for the student to be interested in the supervisor. So it's a test for both, it's a swab for both, who gets chosen. In that sense, I am partially happy with Arpit's work, in the sense that he made two significant moves, and I'm saying this for others actually, because especially Sanjana's batch can be helped by this discussion most. One is he could make a move from Guraram as an individual to village Ho as a government, which is a common. And all of us get stuck when we go to the village. Stuck is a good word, it's not a bad word. In terms of the house we stay in, the household we stay in, Bhavya gets stuck with Ayya and Arpit gets stuck with Dura. And it may have happened with the others also. Shwanima gets stuck with 3 women. And yesterday, Shwanima and I travelled from Kashmiri Gate to Green Park and to discuss the proposal in the metro, because I said that's the only time I have travel with me to South. So she travelled with me, and the only question I asked, why 3? Why 3? Why, remember? Why 3? Why 3 women? Why are there only 3 women in your life? So it's good that Arpit managed to move from one person to as a whole. 2, he also managed to move from standard research, SRP, standard research procedure. Now everybody knows. Both batches know now. I've done the class. From standard research procedure, because he's a development studies student. And there's nothing wrong with standard research procedures. But production research procedure. And my anxiety all through was because he's a development studies student and a good development studies student. That's a problem. Good students are a big problem. He managed to move from a standard research procedure to an action research procedure or an action research process. He managed to move. I think much of the movement also happened, I don't know whether you'll agree, this Sunday between 2 o'clock and 9 o'clock when he finally said, I'm coming to your place, let's talk. And the anxiety was building for both of us actually. So we discussed it very, very long. And I think we finally reached the action research part. He was good with the standard research part. I think his second and first immersion reports are standard research project reports. I was very critical. I was very harsh also. And I think he has now managed to move to an action research project. 2 possibilities, this is the critique of Arpit, now 2 good things about him. 2 possibilities I see in his work. I have been saying one thing for very long, and obviously not many people are listening, and it's okay. That we need to engage with Adivasi values. This I have been going on saying. I said it for the first time in Vesla, in the GC. And I think this project is making a serious attempt at taking the Adivasi life force. And so move from the elite perspective on the Adivasi, when we call the Adivasi a tribe. And yesterday there was a tribal carnival in Delhi. And it was blessed by our Prime Minister. And he said very nice things about the tribes of India, including there should not be any land acquisition from the tribes. There should not be any mining. It's their problem. It should be theirs. As he was speaking, there was firing in Bastar. So It's one way of looking at the tribe. From there we have moved to Adivasi. But what is the Adivasi? The Adivasi is either a poster or a face on a calendar that the tourism department publishes from time to time, which Arundhati Roy shared in her piece on Narmada. Or it's a museumized artifact. That part I think you should have said. I think it's how the Adivasi space becomes a museumized artifact constantly. And in that, when we are working with Adivasi libraries, I actually urged Pradhan in the GC to become an Adivasi Sangathan. Pradhan's work is largely with Adivasi. It's an Adivasi Sangathan. Ye Pradhan kya hai? You are an Adivasi Sangathan. Just like you heard from Vinayak Sen, Shankar Bihuni formed the Chhattisgarh Mukti Morcha. You are working with Adivasis. You are an Adivasi Sangathan. So, in that sense, Arpit moved to Adivasi and then moved to Ho, and there was an interesting turn, I think, that he did not see the Ho as a subset of the Adivasi. He wanted to explore the Ho and see how the Ho determines the Adivasi. So, in that sense, this work and many other works in his batch, this is, I think, a batch who has taken this Adivasi life world question, including the world of the third question, very seriously. I am seeing it, even if they are not saying it, they are taking it very seriously, that we need to come out of these state capital logic and have a different and independent relationship with the Adivasi, not the relationship Indian state or the capital logic or nexus sets up, or development sets up with the Adivasi, where the Adivasi is largely a victim in the development discourse. So there was an attempt over here to move to the life world of the Adivasi, and Arpit tried to actually do the whole thing. And really our debate was, why is this not anthropology? And I think Ishita has answered it very well. And he wanted to, that was the film you saw, when he gave the camera to Guraram. Guraram did not take any selfie, which is what we do. Guraram actually, and that film goes on for some time actually, he charted a road. And what is a road to Guraram? And psychoanalytically it's very important. Why do you take the visual of a road and not the visual of a face? Our usual tendency is to take a face and put it up on Facebook. वो है ही तो Facebook. So book of faces. In that sense, Guraram was filming that. The second possibility of this project, Arpit, and this I haven't shared with you, I realized it as I heard you over there, that this project can also be seen in a different way. This project is an action in the sense that, and I realized it just now as you spoke, that in development or in the development sector, we make all kinds of films. And these films are shown from time to time. And these films have a value, but they also have a character. These films say something. Okay. And that is one kind of film. The second kind of film that is made is in political circles. Okay. So, Ilina Sen showed a film that day on the Adivasi question over there, which is another kind of film. What you are also doing, I felt just now, is that you are generating a critical reflection on the way we make films in the development sector. Our films, and we have discomfort with those films. We sometimes say, ये film too successful लग रहा है. In that sense, the question you are asking is that, have we ever made a film on an Adivasi? Number one. Number two, has an Adivasi ever made a film? In that sense, you are critiquing filmmaking in the development sector. And your film your action research, making, where you're saying development not as freedom, as Amartya Sen says, but development as creativity. That here will be a different film in the development study. So that I thought was another angle that we didn't think of. That it's well possible that your work shifts from now on. It's also related to Ishita's point. How we make films in the development sector. We have hitherto made films on Adivasis, and they have never really been films, but a point Ishita made, which was a very, very, very important point. That how do you create an ethic of the vision? So your work can also be seen. The one side of the work is to how does a whole community become whole, and it's very difficult. It's impossible. You can't remove capital and state and development logic and become whole so quickly. But the other side of the action research I thought just now, that you are also trying to show or generate a vision. In that sense, I have defined the dissertation now. It's a guidebook to ethical action, a future guidebook. So you have created a guidebook from now on. How do we make things in the development sector? So that could be another idea.
Not a question, like two observations. Yeah, I had two observations. One was the last point that you were making, kind of going very close to that, because I watched a film by British School of Design in Bangalore, where the screen was split into three halves, like three parts. And while the first and the last part had footages shot by the students of British School of Design, the central frame was basically shot, footage is shot by, it was Tori Gunyas, like they were working with Tori Gunyas. And Tori Gunyas shot. And the central frame had a, like the footage in the central frame were distinctly different from the frames which were shot on the left and the right. And it actually spoke of a story, and it was actually juxtaposing the story we say as students, as people who were there for an ethnographic anthropological study, and there the other story, not the single story, but as like a few days back, Rishita shared with us this talk by Shivamanda, like the single story, the single narrative. The other narrative was there, and it was being juxtaposed in that. And I thought that it was, and I think I filmed it once in class. Yeah. And we can actually explore that film. I thought that would be interesting. And we can actually, I don't know, probably a review of action. Things have been experimented like in the past.
How films?
Yeah. So that thing. The other was when we talk about commons. How do you look at the idea of commons? Because the idea of commons has its own history, and because and this is something that I'm grappling with, because I'm also contesting what is this commons? Is it a substance that keeps us all together? Is it something that we all have a little bit of us in us, own it personally, or is it something beyond all of us what we all not own but also own? Say for example, like my skin color, I own that skin color. Someone else is also owning that skin color, and we own the skin color personally. And owning this skin color personally also makes it a common thing in all of us. That also makes us common. So it becomes a substance, a common, lowest common denominator, like common factor in all of us. That binds us together. That can be a sense of commonness. And there can be such. It is beyond our experience of owning it personally. And I read it in Esplanade. I think I would like to know a little bit more about how you are taking that idea from. Because when you're talking about wholeness, how do you found it? Is it something that there are not? If you're talking about wholeness, then how do you see it? That whether Buddharam is sharing something with the rest of the world, as they all possess wholeness as something that they can keep in their pocket, or wear it on their selves, wear it on their skin, or something that is there beyond their skin or that can be kept.
Why weakness come here? How to translate Guraram's self-transformation to a community self-transformation? That's the weak point in the proposal still.
But Anup, I just want to think that
Yes.
I thought there's one serious contribution apart from the others that have been mentioned. I think a serious contribution is in terms of the methodology. And I think within that methodology also lies the transfer
Yes,
of belief.
yes.
So while you yourself may not be able to do it in a short period of time, actually working it out, we could actually think of, because it is a big gap. See, getting an Adivasi or a home to make movies about the Pope, Digital Green has been doing it with us for years. So people are trained in making movies, you can study that whole system. But the whole issue of representation is it's a blind spot. So bringing I don't know what word is, the notion of representation and bringing a new methodology in, even taking an individual and his or her, he will have a little milieu with which we can try it out. But I think it holds the kind of germplasm for a whole new methodology for, I can think at least for the Kolhan area in Prague. This Kolhan, we are talking Kolhan, right? When we are talking. I seriously think we pay better attention to it and don't put the entire burden on you. Then in a collaborative sense, there is something very new here. And but it will require an uphill struggle for all parties to deal with the notion that you deal with so organically, which is representation. Politics of representation is a key stumbling block. I think the rest you have, and we
I
collaborate.
think that's a very important point. That is going to actually constantly, gari ghuma dega, bar bar.
But we have to play a role in this because this is a very beautiful idea.
Yeah.
But we can't let it. Sorry.
You had a point, Ishita, one second. A
Yeah.
point Bhavya used to make, and this I learned from her, that researching itself is action sometimes.
It is.
And doing something, she would actually say two things. And I saw she's right actually. And that is why she would say research, it's not research plus action. Action research is not research plus action. Researching is itself action. Action is itself transformation.
And it's self-research. You research your own practice.
Yes, you research your own practice. So I think that is an important point you are making. That very making can be transformative.
The very making, but we have to, because an intervention sounds like it's a big thing.
Yeah.
But this is a journey. It's the beginning of something new which we can methodologically learn.
Just one thing is,
You know, one thing for everybody over here in this room, a very big blast in Hiroshima and Nagasaki doesn't do much other than wipe out. A small seed becomes a banyan tree. So, smallness or bigness is not the point. Whether there is that creative energy in it is the point. What it will spark off.
addition to what Nivedita was, just in addition to what you and Nivedita are saying, so one thing that came about, it's just one instance that happened that have been talked about in the first version also, that for example, where it's a response to Arun also, that when Buddha Monkey festival happens, and Gururam tells me that sab aane wale hain, and I go to the festival at night. Sab is the clan, the family of Gururam, the Devgang family, and then the whole space is scattered around families celebrating Gururam, right? It's also a translation problem then, that sab aane wale hain is sab aane wale hain, and sab aane wale is my family is coming. And therein I think lies the communal idea also, that it's not just about bringing whole Turibasa together in that moment that everybody has to sit together, but how does these translations and interconnections happen also? In contextual realities of everyday life also, in the Gram Sabha meeting also, people come and go, and how do you locate that?
The subness may also be inclusive, exclusive.
Yeah,
I mean,
उस
there
पर
are
काम कर
subness को romanticize भी
हाँ हाँ क्योंकि देखो एक critic अरुण भव्या and I have been and maybe others also I'm remembering 3 people today have been कि हम लोग गुरुग्राम में and I'm using a bad word but it's not a bad word फंसना क्योंकि वो भी थोड़ा सा एक एनालिटिक डायट जैसा हो जाएगा गुरुग्राम के साथ आपका ट्रांसफरेंस ठीक है and then you and in that sense Bhavya's work is interesting. She stayed with Aya but also went. By that I'm not saying कि रिश्ता ब्रेक करके नया बनाना पड़ेगा ये नहीं मैं बोल रहा हूँ. I think it can be built rather than getting again back into that because Gurugram also has to find well-being.
Nano, Maya had an agenda.
Yes.
Does Gurugram have an agenda?
वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ. Yeah. Otherwise it will look like it's Arpit Gururam's homoerotic bond.
Yeah.
Okay. But and it's beautiful. But the problem is that ये ना हो जाए कि तुम दोनों एक dyad में चले जाओ. और the dyad is important.
I was just thinking, at least in some of the interesting film projects with the refugees and immigrants population where they have been given a camera and how do they cross borders, and particularly there are also interesting politics of representation that has come out even when you're filming yourself.
Absolutely.
And so even when I'm filming myself, there will be politics of representation even there as well. So, on one hand, and that's why it is, I think there is one work, I'm forgetting, this is also by Ginsberg, I'm forgetting the first name, where he talks about how the I think in Central American, some of one of the Central American tribes, they try to document themselves. And their projects on education, etc., through filming. But what comes about, and he says this, that there is also politics of representation because that also fell into the project entirely, this educative project, like educating the others about myself.
Yes.
So when
it should not be that.
She's got that's the
but it could be an interesting lens to look at, and even if I want to, but. So I think this is a comfort of the anthropologist. The comfort of the anthropologist is that when I'm documenting that, I can critique the politics of representation and escape it. But when I'm doing it, I become a part of that politics of representation. I think that is what.
This is a class I took. That creative critical joy, the Spinoza class.
Yeah, I think
that
it's coming from
critique also insulates you from autocritique or self. So, Arpit, you can't do everything right.
Exactly.
Okay. You have to dirty your hands. Okay. It's like creating what from. We did not want to do it in the politics of representation mode. I did not want to do it. I wanted to do it in the video game. But something happened, something didn't happen. Okay. So, and you have to work your way in a negotiated manner through that. That you face when you do something. When you just critique, it's very easy actually because you have insulated yourself from self-critique. Okay? And harder your critique, harder the insulation because you are all the more taking yourself out of it. कि मेरा critique इतना बढ़िया. Okay? So we are not just critiquing. We are also trying to practice. We are also trying to create. We are trying to do something. We are trying to insert joy. in a hopelessness, which is where here becomes important actually. So in that sense, don't, this is to all of you actually, don't try to be absolutely correct. Don't try to do that. Okay? And it is in the messiness of work, of doing, of practice, that you will find new ways and also see how we have sometimes done things in the old way.
So may I just make a request
Yes.
here? My request here is that this very difficulty, it's not only your difficulty, it's our difficulty
Yes,
in general at all times. So if you can actually be self-reflexive and critical about it and document that, I think it will be an essential part of the methodology. I'm already thinking when you're done, what are we going to do?
Yeah. I was also
So
thinking
that's where my
actually.
brain-
Actually, we should unleash Arpit. I was thinking.
Yeah.
Keep,
Yeah.
So
on the
document
wall.
that, because that will be part of the methodology. It's not only about what he did, but how you, because finally the methodology will be for the practitioner out there, or whatever actually research
Whoever, like,
practitioner.
anyway,
Some
even a
fellow-
political activist can also learn from your, yeah, I want your JNU Marxists to learn from your method.
So anybody who's going to use it, will need that part.
Who also put up doctored videos. It's not only the right wing which puts up doctored videos. So, in that sense, one thing for all the people in this room, fourth and fifth batch, our dissertation is also a documentation of difficulty. And if you have documented difficulty well, it's a very good guidebook for further praxis or action.
Yes, please do that.
But at least document the difficulty well so that Pratik and Deepika can learn from your documentation of difficulty. So then they will take your dissertation out and read it. Otherwise they are not going to read your dissertation. स्वयंवर, सभी स्वयंवर है दुनिया में, हाँ? आपका डिसर्टेशन कोई पढ़ेगा क्या? क्यों पढ़ेगा? तो आप कुछ ऐसा देंगे तो. So in that sense, it's a documentation of it. But I thought I would stick to it, that you are there actually developing a critical reflection on thinking and representation in the development. The way we sometimes present stories of success, empowerment, good empowerment. Think of it.
Filmmaking is a methodology.
Yes, as a methodology.
There's a very interesting dialogue between, I think, Bateson and Meads, that Bateson and Margaret Mead in 1970s on photography, where they are having a debate in 1970 about, how to photograph and whether you should photograph. And because photography is a very powerful instrument photography can create an archive, and photography can also be extremely problematic in its representation. And there are these two takeaway phrases that I remember that, are you using it as an extension of a mind, or are you using it as an extension of a camera? And the two puts, whether it's an extension of the mind or it's an extension of a camera, and of course this is pre-digital age, I think 1970 is pre-digital, so this extension. In the history of photography. So there is a conversation where Bateson is telling, Mead is telling Bateson that you're just putting the camera on the top of the tripod. And is that what photography is all about? And Bateson is like, but I'm doing something also, I'm trying to capture the mind. So, and I think whether it's an extension of the mind or it's an extension of the camera, the lens, is also there. And how does filmmaking, digital filmmaking, and there are extensive, like the documentary film project, I think just few years back won one of the awards, where in Calcutta some of the children in Shonagachi were given training in filmmaking and what is to document your own life work and whether that story can be represented. We also have Tales of the Night Fairies which documents that, and which is a beautiful critique of the existing work that was being done.
That's the Shoney's.
Shooting is what I'm talking about.
Do a review of action.
Yes.
Review of
Action.
Review of action.
Yes.
Not review of literature. Review of action.
Yes.
कैसे फिल्म बनाए हैं, alternative films कैसे बनाए हैं, what can help you actually.
Cinema also has a huge group that goes out and this politics of representation is a
So landmine. But take a look at that also. Also, I would like a thinker you are not consulting authority. It's okay. Is that the distinction that we used to mark once upon a time? That between how a camera sees and how a human being sees while computing. That the question of intentionality, that a camera sees, but when a human being sees, the human being is seeing. So there is a seeing in that. And when you bring Gudaram and the camera together, we are bringing actually a phenomenology, Gudaram, whatever, Adivasi, and the camera, which is the conflict between the seeing eye and the camera that sees. The camera that sees passively and the eye that sees actively, which is everything actually. Where it comes together is everything, but everything is not enough. It doesn't bridge the gap actually. So how does one connect these two? Is also so you can't escape representation actually. Okay, but how do you work your way? So working through is good. That last two words when you put in the title working through, and I think all your classmates are working through a problem, working through ekta. Okay, working through. So we are not saying critique. Even I never use the word critique nowadays. I always say let's work through this. Work through something. You're working through something. And that is the practitioner's perspective. Learning to work through rather than critique. You saw two people, Vinayak and Nivina, they tried to work through. And there are failures actually. Sab work ho gaye after the arrest. But you are trying to work through still. And yesterday, Nivedita was there, she was there. Irina was spot on the two dissertations. She just got it. Ki kya kare? Nishant and she got it. But with other external examiners, we have had so much difficulty making them understand what have we done. They said, "Want a review of literature." So in that sense, a person who has worked through will also get your work. And I think that is, I have never said this, you can say it, I learn as you all speak. You are my best teachers. In that sense, the distinction between standard research procedure and action research procedure is also this. And a standard research procedure is a proving procedure. An action research procedure is a working. It's both critique and creation. We are trying to work. And in a psychoanalytic setting, what is this Freud's? We have used, it's Freud's title actually. Remember the beginning, working through is one of Freud's papers. Actually. In a psychoanalytic setting, we have to work through. We can't critique the patient. That's ridiculous. So, once you learn to work. Arpit's time is up. Ask your questions, he will not answer.
It's not a question actually. It was continuing on from what Ishita and Anup had actually pointed out. There was this, I don't know, if you have spoken to R.V. Ramani yet, because like he's brilliant to just talk to, not about how he makes films, but his life in general. He was giving this talk on in development studies ka seminar, cinema versus development, and there was this one film that he has shot which is about I'm forgetting the name of the community. It's in Tamil Nadu, and they're actually puppeteers, or were puppeteers. And at the time that he was shooting, their entire this puppeteering culture was declining. All right, and there was a comment from the puppeteers itself in his film that it is this nahi kar pa rahe hain kyunki all this film and television and all these things have come up. So that's the contradiction in which Ramani was in at that point of time. And then he worked with the puppeteers, which takes it beyond the film itself. When you said about the filmmaker, he worked with them for 2 years so that their puppeteering thing is alive for the next 2 years and tried to sustain it. and then he left, and after a year or something it just declined. Now it's not there anymore at all. All right, and it's also a guilt which Ramani faces himself, that it's his medium that is leading to this decline, and then he's also trying to represent them in a certain mode, and he himself has also worked with them so that revive करने के लिए work with. So like I found that very interesting, and so it becomes even more interesting to talk to him because he has gone through these entire things, of representation of the issues that you touched upon right now.
Not a bit of a worry. May I just share that as the conversation is building here, my worry is suddenly moving more towards film. And my imagination was that actually while doing this, because your primary focus is on the filmmaker, so it's not the film, but the person and the process of becoming and influencing. Looking at what was being an Adivasi, what that politics of representation is, and why people have dumped it on me, and how I want to change that. So you might even find that the film is not the best way to do it. So if you don't give yourself that freedom and make it such a sexy technology, so then I'm getting too worried here. I don't know where you're going. Personally, my own interest is more on the larger question.
I was just because I read your proposal and what I understood through your earlier proposal before this smaller draft that you said, where you were talking about this, memory as a collective process, past as a lived collective memory, etc., etc. And then you talk about becoming, which is also you're saying, so the notion of collective is around memory, around past, or around, let's say, remembering, and that becoming, collective becoming. Now, what I'm wondering is that how do we translate this collectivity into what we are doing? So when I was reading, you were saying that there are many such stories as Gurarams or as Ammas. Okay? So then when we are filming and when Guraram is filming, how do we bring in all the stories? And then what it is to give the camera to Amma, like who is a Adivasi woman, a co-woman, and how will it be different from, let's say, Guraram's, or Sardar Bhai's understanding, who's the old co-man? How do we bring in all these together?
I think these are good. So it's a good point. If it's bad, you won't clap. Let's not do that.
Why don't you dance? I think